నేను మాత్రం మా ఇద్దరు పిల్లల్ని క్వాలిటీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అందించే ఉల్లంపర్రు మాంటిసోరీ స్కూల్లో మాత్రమే చదివిస్తాను. ఇలా అన్నీ ఉన్న చోట మన పిల్లల్ని చదివిస్తేనే వాళ్ళకి మంచి భవిష్యత్తు ఉంటుంది.
నాకు అన్ని నెంబర్ 1 కావాలి. అందుకే నా పెద్ద మనవరాల్ని అన్ని వసతులతో క్వాలిటీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అందిస్తున్న స్కూల్లోనే జాయిన్ చేశాను.
ఏ స్కూల్ సార్ అది?
ఉల్లంపర్రు మాంటిసరీ స్కూల్. క్వాలిటీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ లో నెంబర్ 1, కల్చరల్ యాక్టివిటీస్ లో నెంబర్ 1, స్పోర్ట్స్ లో నెంబర్ 1, క్యాంపస్ లో నెంబర్ 1.
అది
మీ పిల్లల బంగారు భవిష్యత్తుకు మాది బాధ్యత.
Good morning students. This is Ananta, the teacher of Montessori's. Today I am ready to explain online class on the subject social for 10th class students. The lesson is India relief features. India is our country. India is one of the most populous country in the world. Our India has varied relief features. That means our country has different land masses. They are the Himalayas, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, the Peninsular Plateau, the Thar Desert, the coastal plains, the islands. So that is from north to south and west to east. So we can divide the India into these 6 relief features. So today in this class I am going to explain briefly about each and every relief feature of India. So let me start from the Himalayas. Where are Himalayas? Himalayas are on the north of India. Coming to the boundaries of India, what is there on north, south, west and east? Himalayas are on the north, Indian Ocean is on the south, Arabian Sea on the west, Bay of Bengal is on the east. Coming to the relief features, I would like to explain from the Himalayas. Himalayas form the northern boundary to India. They run for 2,400 kilometers, which forms an arc-like structure from west to east. They run for 2,400 kilometers, and there are variations in its altitude from west to east. That is, in the beginning they are wider and its altitude is 500 meters. Coming to the central and eastern part, it is about 200 meters. Like that we can see the variations in its height also. This Himalayas comprises 3 ranges. They are the Greater Himalayas, the Lesser Himalayas and the Outer Himalayas. So let me explain these 3 briefly now. Let me start about the Himalayan ranges. There are 3 ranges in the Himalayas. They are the Greater Himalayas, the Lesser Himalayas, the Outer Himalayas. These 3 Himalayan ranges have other names also. The Greater Himalayas are also called as Himadri range. The Lesser Himalayas are also called as Himachal range. The Outer Himalayas are also called as the Shivaliks. So let me explain briefly about these 3 ranges now. The Greater Himalayas. The Greater Himalayas, they form the northernmost boundary of the Himalayas, which have the highest peaks with the average elevation of 6,100 meters from the mean sea level. And these Himalaya mountain ranges, we can observe the peaks, they are covered with snow and ice. And from these ranges, it is the flow of perennial rivers. Here the accumulation of the snow, the movement of the glaciers make the rivers to flow from the highest range, the Himadri range. That is Himadri range. So the rivers like river Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra, these rivers along with their tributaries, they flow, which forms the perennial flow in the Himalayas. These rivers has its tributaries also which can drain into the next region. This greater Himalayas, as because of the accumulation of the snow, they make these rivers to flow throughout the year along with the annual rainfall. Next, coming to the lesser Himalayas. Lesser Himalayas are the next range of the Himalayas. They have the elevation of 3,700 meters to 4,500 meters. In lesser Himalayas, we can find the valleys like Kashmiri Valley. We can find some other hill stations also, because the lesser Himalayas are famous for hill stations. Mussoorie, Nainital, Ranikhet are some of the important hill stations of lesser Himalayas. And these lesser Himalayas compressed rocks. They are compressed rocks with rugged relief, rugged nature of the stones and pebbles, which comprises compressed rocks. After lesser Himalayas, the next range is the outer Himalayas. These outer Himalayas are also known as the Shivaliks. And where are the valleys here? The famous valleys are in between lesser Himalayas and outer Himalayas. What's a valley? The valley is the lowland between two mountain ranges or hilly terrains also. Coming to the Shivaliks. Shivaliks is the lower range of the Himalayas, where these Himalayan rivers, they flow downwards, then they enters into the shallow bays that are formed as the Indo-Gangetic plain at present. Okay, Shivaliks. In the outer Himalayan ranges, we say that they are called with different names. Here we can see the sediments that are deposited by the rivers, which forms the alluvial soils at the foot of the Shivaliks. The outer Himalayas extend for 10 to 50 kilometers with the altitude of 900 to 1100 meters. And they are called with different names. In Jammu and Kashmir, they are called as Jammu Hills. They are called as Mishmi Hills. Next, they are called as Kachor Hills. In different areas, they are called with different names. After this Shivaliks, we can say that coming to the eastern portion, the eastern portion of Himalayas are called as Purvanchal mountains. Purvanchal mountains. Where are these Purvanchal mountains? The part of Himalayas which bends into the Arunachal Pradesh, that is in the eastern part of India. It takes the hairpin-like direction which enters into the Assam. Like that, it forms the eastern boundary to India. So that eastern boundary of India is called as Purvanchal mountain region. They are called Purvanchal mountains. The part of Himalayas which are present in the Arunachal Pradesh, they are called as Purvanchal mountains. Regionally, they are called with different names: Mizo Hills, Patkai Hills, Mega Hills. Like that, they are called with different names in the Arunachal Pradesh. So this is the information about the Greater Himalayas, Lesser Himalayas, Outer Himalayas, and Purvanchal mountains. And coming to the last portion, Shivaliks, I have already mentioned you that as these rivers, they flow from these mountain ranges, Once they enters into the foot of the Shimalik range, they forms the another relief feature that is called Indo-Gangetic Plain. So next I am going to explain about the Indo-Gangetic Plain. So Indo-Gangetic Plain it is a plain region that is formed by the interaction of these Himalayan rivers. The highest peak of the Himalayas is the Mount Everest. The highest peak of the Himalayas is Mount Everest. Mount Everest is in Nepal. Which is the highest mountain peak in the Himalayas? Mount Everest. Where is Mount Everest? Mount Everest is in Nepal. Which is the highest peak of the India? The highest peak of the Himalayas in India is K2. What is that? K2. K2 is the highest mountain peak of the Himalayas in India. Where is this? It is in Jammu and Kashmir. This K2 has another name also, Godwin Austen. Godwin Austen. G-O-D Godwin Austen. It is another name of K2. K2 is the highest mountain peak of Himalayas in India. Generally we get two map pointing bits here. There it may be to locate which is the highest peak of Himalayas. If it is asked like that, we have to locate in Nepal. Suppose if it is the highest mountain peak in India, we have to locate K2. It is in Jammu and Kashmir. The second relief feature of India is Indo-Gangetic Plain. As like Himalayas, Indo-Gangetic Plain also has three parts. See, western part, central part and eastern part. So you might have heard that the western portion, the western side, that was the plain region which is formed by the river Indus and its tributaries. What are the tributaries of river Indus? Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. Generally they flow towards the western part. Finally it goes into the Pakistan. That's why we can say that was the portion which comes under the Punjab state. So it is the western portion is Punjab plain. Coming to the central portion, the central plain region is formed by the river Ganga and its tributaries. So that is Ganga plain. So Ganga plain has extended from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal because it drains into the Bay of Bengal. So the central part is known as Ganga plain. The eastern portion, I have already mentioned you that the eastern portion forms the Himalayas eastern portion forms the eastern boundary to India. So the river which flows from the eastern portion, that is the river Brahmaputra. So the river Brahmaputra forms the plain region in the Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, like that. It comes under Brahmaputra plain. Clear? So what about this? This Indo-Gangetic plain, earlier it was just like a shallow basin. If you take 20 million years ago, just it was in shallow basin. Later, because of the flow of the Himalayan rivers, they brought the sediments and pebbles which were deposited in this area. Later it was termed as the rich alluvial plain because of the perennial river flow. That's why it was formed as the Indo-Gangetic plain, which is said to be very fertile land area of India. The feature is the peninsular plateau, The peninsular plateau comes to the southern part of India, where we can say that it is also divided into three parts: the Central Highlands, Chota Nagpur Plateau, the Deccan Plateau. So the Central Highlands, this starts adjacent to the Ganga plain and which extends to the up to the Narmada basin, Narmada river delta. So to that place we can say that this is the extension of Central Highlands. They are also called as, that is also called as the Malwa Plateau. And the east of Central Highlands there is Chota Nagpur Plateau. Chota Nagpur Plateau is rich in the mineral resource. The same way, the south of these two, it has a triangular plateau region that is called Deccan Plateau. Plateau region is different from the plain region, which has the river flow, but they are not characterized by the perennial nature. These rivers, they are fed by the annual rainfall, and these rivers like river Godavari, Krishna, Mahanadi, Narmada, Tapati, these are some of the rivers which comes under the peninsular plateau. So these rivers, they make the irrigation possible along with the underground water. So next, the Thar Desert. Where is Thar Desert? Thar Desert is on the leeward side of Aravalli Mountains. So this Thar Desert comes to the northwestern part of India. Mostly it is in the state of Rajasthan. So here the Thar Desert is the place of the sandy soil. So here we know that the rainfall is very less. In desert region, just here the annual rainfall is 100 to 150 meters. But during this rainfall time also, when it rains, suddenly the streams disappears because of the hot climatic conditions. We can say that the climate of Thar Desert is arid climate. Arid climate means days are very hot, nights are very cold. So this type of climatic conditions we can observe in the desert region. Here there is only one river in the Thar desert, that is river Luni, and it has another source of water also, Indira Gandhi Canal. Indira Gandhi Canal is the largest canal in India, which is a source of water to Thar Desert. The next one is the coastal plains. So as like Indo-Gangetic plain, here we see the plain region in the South India also, that is the coastal plains. Either side of the Deccan Plateau, that means the Deccan Plateau is surrounded by Western Ghats region, Ghats, hilly terrain. They are called Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats are on the western side, Eastern Ghats are on the eastern side. So beside, adjacent to this Ghats region, we can find coastal plains. So these coastal plains are two, which we can find on the both sides, west coastal plains and east coastal plains. So where are west coastal plains? The plain region in between Arabian Sea and Western Ghats. Where is Arabian Sea? Arabian Sea is on the west of India. The plain region in between Arabian Sea and Western Ghats are called west coastal plains. In the same way, the other side, that is the plain region in between Bay of Bengal and Eastern Ghats are called east coastal plains. Again, these coastal plains are divided into three coasts. See the west coastal plains, Konkan coast, Canara coast, Malabar coast. Konkan coast stretches into Maharashtra and Goa. Maharashtra and Goa plain region comes under Konkan. Kerala is the place of Karnataka. Then Malabar is Kerala. Like that, it stretches from Maharashtra to Kerala. So that is west coastal plain region. In the same way, the eastern side, Utkal. Utkal is in the Odisha. The Odisha comes under the Utkal coast. Next, our AP comes under the Sarkar coast. Utkal, Sarkar. Then what is there on the south of AP? That is Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu comes to the coast of Coromandel. So they are Utkal, Sarkar, Coromandel. So on both sides we can see the rivers also. Mainly most of the rivers that flows from the western Ghats, they flow towards the east. Finally they drain into Bay of Bengal. Why? What is the reason behind this? Mainly there are two rivers. They comes under the category of west flowing rivers. They had its birth in the western Ghats. They are Narmada and Tapati. These are the two rivers which starts from the western Ghats and they flow back to western Ghats, drains into Arabian Sea. But river Godavari, Krishna, like that, Mahanadi, these are the rivers which starts in the western Ghats. They flow towards the east because of the slope of the Deccan Plateau. The slope of the Deccan Plateau tilted towards east. That's why even though they starts in the western Ghats, they flow towards the east. Finally, they drain into Bay of Bengal. And these coastal plains, so they are also composed of sediments of the rivers, which terms these places as alluvial soils. Here, the fishing is one of the main activity which gives income to the people of this coastal region. They earn their livelihood by fishing. Next, the last one is islands. India has two sets of islands, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep Islands. There are Lakshadweep Islands and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The islands of Arabian Sea are called on the west. They are called Lakshadweep Islands. The islands of Bay of Bengal are called Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the important point is that at the time of 2004 tsunami, a portion of Andaman Nicobar Islands was submerged into the water and which is named as Indira Point. What is that? Indira Point. So do you know why I am repeating this bit? Because sometimes we will get the map pointing here, which is the southernmost tip of India. The southernmost tip of India is the Indira Point. Where is that? They are in Andaman Nicobar. That is in Andaman Nicobar Islands. That is what? Indira Point. Like that, if you say that which is the southernmost tip of Peninsular Plateau, for that you have to say that is the Kanyakumari. Kanyakumari is the southernmost tip of Peninsular Plateau, whereas the Indira Point is the southernmost tip of India. Yeah, Lakshadweep Islands are the coral base. We can find here different types of flora and fauna. But coming to Andaman and Nicobar Islands, actually this is the portion of the mountains of Arkanyoma of Myanmar. Here, Andaman Nicobar Islands, a portion of Andaman Nicobar Islands, they are formed by the volcanic eruption. That's why we can say that is Narkondam and Barren Islands of Andaman Nicobar Islands are volcanic origin. Okay, but Lakshadweep Islands are of coral reefs. They are coral based. So what did you understand in today's topic? You have learned that as Indians, we are living in the country of varied landmass. That means that is from north to south and west to east. Our Indian landmass is divided into different categories. The people of we are living in this unique landmass of India. Thank you everyone.
ఉల్లంపూర్ మాన్సూన్ స్కూల్ గత నెల రోజుల నుంచి ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసులు చాలా సమర్థవంతంగా నిర్వహిస్తుంది. 10th క్లాస్ విద్యార్థులతో పాటు అన్ని తరగతుల వారికి బ్రిడ్జ్ కోర్స్ నిర్వహించారు. అటు డిజీ క్లాసులు కావచ్చు, ఇటు ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసులు కావచ్చు. పాలకుల్లో మొట్టమొదటిసారి ఏర్పాటు చేసిన ఘనత మన ఉల్లంపూర్ మాంటిసోరీకి దక్కుతుంది. మారుతున్న కాలానికి అనుగుణంగా నూతన విద్యా విధానాన్ని అనుసరిస్తూ ఎప్పటికప్పుడు మాంటిసోరీ స్కూలు వన్ ఆఫ్ ది బెస్ట్ స్కూల్గానే నిలబడుతుంది. ఉల్లంపూర్ మాంటిసోరీ స్కూల్ అంటే ఏదో ఎక్కడో ఉన్నటువంటి బ్రాండ్ స్కూల్ పేరు చెప్పి ఇక్కడ రన్ చేయట్లేదు. అదేవిధంగా ఏదో స్కూల్ని అడాప్ట్ చేసుకుని ఇక్కడ రాలేదు. 30 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి ఒకే మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఆధ్వర్యంలోని అదే క్వాలిటీతో మెయింటైన్ చేస్తున్నది ఉల్లంపూర్ మాంటిసోరీస్. రాబోయే రోజుల్లో ఇలాంటి ఇబ్బంది ఎప్పుడు వచ్చినా కూడా ఆన్లైన్ టూల్స్తో విద్యాబోధన సమర్థవంతంగా చేసే విద్యా సంస్థ మన ఉల్లంపూర్ మాంటిసోరీ స్కూల్. అందుకే ఉల్లంపూర్ మాంటిసోరీ స్కూల్ అంటే తల్లిదండ్రులకు ఓ నమ్మకం, ఓ భరోసా.